Speaking of TechCrunch and the tech world, I want to get Eric's view on this. So from the tech community's point of view, Carly Fiorina was the CEO of Hewlett-Packard. Do you think the tech community will rally behind her?
I kind of doubt it. Her tenure at Hewlett-Packard was largely panned by the tech community.
Even one of the founder's sons, right, said something like, "This is the worst thing that ever happened to my dad's company."
Well, yes. Well, look, while she was the CEO, the company lost half of its value on the stock market. And then she doubled down on PCs by merging with Compaq at a time where people were moving away from PCs into mobile devices. So she's considered to be kind of out of touch. She's certainly not a social media or digital culture person. I think the tech industry will either ignore her or not really care.
Okay, speaking of this GOP field, which, as Regis alluded to, it is getting more numerous by the day. Jim Grant, I know Ron Paul said, if ever I'm president, Jim Grant is the head of the Fed, the chairman of the Fed, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Well, we're waiting.
You're still waiting. Okay. Maybe the son picks up where the dad left off, Jim. But in any case, from what you've seen, the candidates who have declared their interest so far.
I think the news is that the individuals who have not declared will presently be hearing about the breaking story about someone who has chosen not to run for the GOP nomination for president. That will be the next news item.
Are you going to give us that name, or are you just going to say that?
Well, there are many millions of people in this country, of course. We are rapidly getting down to the nubs of those who are not running. So I'm saying it's a very crowded field.
Right.
It seems to me that the individuals and their reputations perhaps are less important than the principles that they're standing on.
But based on what you've heard, Jim, is there a GOP candidate who has spoken about the economy where you feel like, okay, he, or if Carly does in fact put her hat in the ring, she gets it for what the U.S. economy needs?
I think we're more in the platitude than in the specific stage of the campaign saga now. I would be interested in someone who said rather little, or who said that the government's role is to do rather little and to remove itself.
But there are some libertarian candidates.
From the business of micromanagement, especially through the central planning agency we call the Federal Reserve. That to me is the proper candidate.
Speaking of libertarians, Eric is smiling. He knows Peter Thiel and others well. In Silicon Valley, there is a libertarian flag that flies.
Yeah, it's either libertarian or saying to government, kind of leave us alone, let us do what we do the best, which is innovate. Get out in front of us. Why are you putting all these rules and all these regulations? And now we actually have the financial markets, which are over-regulated, which is starting to hurt. It hurts our companies going public. It hurts them while they're going public. So the government, I would agree, government has to reduce its presence.
As far as a tech candidate, so-called tech candidate, is there anyone out there that you think might run that the tech community would support, or one who has already announced on either side of the aisle that the tech community would embrace?
I don't think so. I think pretty much we know everyone who's going to be announced. There might be candidates to come out of Silicon Valley for the next generation, next one, but not this time.
All right. So, Jim, if somebody said, come on board, be my Fed chair, who would you most like to work with? Why don't we flip it around?
Oh, I don't know. I'd be happy to serve when called upon.
Okay. There you go.
I wonder if you're wondering what my first act would be as new Fed chairman. My first act would be to open the first Office of Unintended Consequences.
All right. Well, you're not worried about being swarmed by phone calls and emails?
Not after that.
All right. All right. Hold that thought. Continuing the conversation in a bit. We are back with more on Risk and Reward.